Welcome back to another video. I hope you're feeling well. If you're celebrating Ramadan, I wish you happy Ramadan. I don't celebrate Ramadan. It's not my religion, but I am doing intermittent fasting, and it's actually pretty cool because I have some coworkers who do practice Ramadan, and we were just kind of talking about stress or pressure she felt like she had. And it got to a point where, you know, her dreams to go to the Olympics, unfortunately, it was stopped. She got a really bad injury that prevented her from even continuing to do figure skating, which was a devastating blow, because for Jennifer, it was almost an escape from her academic life, you know. if she traveled anywhere, it was always with her mom and her dad, you know, with their family. And it was just so like boxed in. Every single day she's around other students, she's around other friends whose parents are also political immigrants, whose parents also come from the similar culture or the same culture as her, and they're like, girl, your life, it's messed up. They're telling her that's extreme. I don't know how you do it. It's not normal. You know, so she already had in her mind, like, this is not normal. Why does everybody else get to do other things and get to live their life? And all I have to do is my schoolwork, swimming, piano lessons, and come home. You know, it's annoying. You're a teenager, you want to do stuff. You know, her friends thought that maybe, you know, they love you, of course, but then they're just being overprotective. But it's a bit too much. It's really controlling. And her classmates, they actually agreed. They were like, her parents treated her pretty horribly. They were extremely controlling, and it wasn't normal at all. She hated her parents, pretty much. That's basically what her friends would say. So when Jennifer was in the 11th grade, she met a guy named Daniel Wong. Now, Daniel Wong was your happy-go-lucky guy, a little bit chubby, big white smile, just kind of a light in the room. They were friends, they had mutual friends, and there was one particular incident that happened that made them get super, super close. So they went away on a school trip. I guess the school trips were the only time that Jennifer was actually able to get away from her parents for any extended period of time. So they went away on a school trip, and they were in this music hall concert performance area. And there was a bunch of smoke filling up the room, and Jennifer had asthma. And she went into this asthma attack, and she basically ran outside, and Daniel Wong was with her, and she got to the point where she almost blacked out. And I don't know if you've ever had an asthma attack. I don't have asthma. I had a panic attack before, and I literally thought that I was going to die. That was scary, so scary. So this is what she was going through. And Daniel Wong was right there with her, giving her breathing exercises, you know, just going through the whole process of calming her down. She's like, oh my goodness, this guy literally saved my life. So it just kind of made them even closer, you know. And when they got back home, they were talking, and then that summer, they basically were dating, but you gotta keep it a secret because her father wasn't having this. Especially because he was a drug dealer. Daniel Wong was a high school drug dealer. So this is just horrible, right? The worst case scenario for her father. So he had no idea what was going on, of course. 2 years go by, right, while she was finishing up at high school, and she had pretty respectable grades. She actually got accepted into a university, Ryerson's College. However, in her And she said that the way that she dealt with keeping up this lie was that she started to look at herself in third person. She didn't like who she was. She didn't like what she saw herself doing. But she said that if she didn't keep up this lie, she would tell herself that she would lose everything that was important to her. And what was important to her, it was her parents' approval. Even if it was fake, it still meant everything to her because that's all she ever had since she was a little girl. So for 2 years, was done. And the mom was like, no, you can't just kick her out. Where is she gonna go? What is she gonna do? Like, she needs to stay at home. So basically, she went on lockdown. They took away her phone. They took away her laptop for about 2 weeks. No communication with the outside world, really. And if she ever did go anywhere in her car, the father checked her odometer on her car to see exactly how many miles. Where are you going? You need to come back home right after you're And so the evening of the crime, Jennifer was watching Gossip Girl and John and Kate Plessy. Her father was down the hall in his bedroom reading a newspaper, and Jennifer's mom was out doing line dancing. She would always go line dancing with her best friend and with her cousin on Fridays. And the father went to bed at 8:30. The mom got back home around 9:30, got in her pajamas. She soaked her feet in front of the TV and just relaxed after her dance classes. And Jennifer is on the phone with somebody for about 3 minutes, and she goes downstairs and kisses her mom goodnight. And then this is when they believe that she went to unlock the front door. Goes back upstairs, you see a light come on from a camera across the street, a light come on in the study and then go off. And this was a signal for her homeboy and his other two friends to come along, get the job done. They come into the house, guns, owl, and they go to the mom, put a gun in her face. They go upstairs, put a gun in his face, bring him downstairs to the living room where their mom is. And they're like, where's the money? Where's the money? How much money do you have? The dad's like, I only have $200. And they start hitting him with the gun in his head. And one of them walks Jennifer downstairs, and the mom just starts pleading with them, like, please, whatever you do, please do not hurt my daughter. And the mom is telling the dad in Cantonese, like, how did they get in? Did you lock the door? How did they get in the house? And he's like, I don't know. And they tell them to shut up, and they lead Jennifer back upstairs and tie her, well, according to her, they tie her arm to the banister and like her hands behind her back with a shoelace. And they take the parents downstairs to the basement, put a sheet over their head, and you hear 2 shots go off. 3, 2 in the dad's shoulder and 1 in his face, and then 3 immediately to the mom. She was gone immediately. 3 to that. And so they leave the house, and Jennifer calls 911 with her hands tied behind her back, right? On a flip phone, nonetheless. And she calls 911 and she's screaming, like, help me, I can't find my parents, help me, help me. And like, they're asking, like, where are you? And then 3 minutes into the phone call, he hears the dad screaming. He woke up and saw his wife next to him. He runs upstairs from the basement and runs outside, and she's like, Dad, I'm calling the cops. And he doesn't respond to her, he's just screaming. And thank God the neighbor was about to go to work, but to get into his car, and he sees sound, there's blood on his face. And the neighbor calls 911. Han gets picked up by the ambulance, taken to a hospital, flown to another hospital, and ends up in a coma for about 3 days. That same night, about 2 in the morning, Jennifer is taken in to do an interrogation. She looks nervous. She's like, what if I don't remember everything, or what if some memories come back later on? They're like, just tell us what you know, that's all you need to do, you know? And so she was saying, yeah, these guys came in and they tied my hand, you know, behind my back, and they're like, well, how did you call on a flip phone? And then she heard the person, the operator, asking questions. And she's like, oh, I just turned the volume up really, really loud. And she showed them a way that she was able to maneuver herself to get into the phone. And they're like, okay, well, we have nothing else to go off of, so we'll believe you for now. She has to plan her mom's funeral. So she goes to the funeral, but the cops are a little bit wary